live. So welcome to Tamarah's Closet today. I'm really excited today because today I've got a young actor with me, and he's a young man he's starting off his dream as an actor, and he really actually has accomplished a lot in the short period of time that he's been acting. And today he's just going to spend a little bit of time. We're going to talk a little bit about how he got started and just let him share his story in hopes to inspire others to have this same dream, or even if you have another dream, it's just inspirational to hear other people's stories who are going toward their dream. He's originally from Fort Worth, Texas. He now resides in Massachusetts. He has been featured in various films, such as, just to name a few, R.I.P.D. with Jeff Bridges, Unfinished Business with Vince Vaughn, Sensory Perception with, I believe, John Savage. He's been in Sex Tape, and also I believe he's in an upcoming movie for 2016 called Joy with Bradley Cooper and Jennifer Lawrence. So I'm going to go ahead and bring him out here. Without further delay, I want to welcome Van John Brockmann. Van, are you still with me?
Yes, I'm still here.
Okay. Well, I'm really glad you took the time to be here today, Van, because I wanted to, this is about celebrating your courage to go after your dreams. It doesn't matter at what stage you are in your journey. Tamarah's Closet, the interview is really just about celebrating you and giving you the opportunity to share what you have accomplished and what you're working toward, and it's to inspire other people, to motivate them to do the same. So I wanted to talk a little bit about, because your story, you were born in Fort Worth, Texas, and I know at 8 years old, your bio said that you were adopted by a couple that were both Episcopal priests in Maryland. And then you started acting in church plays and pageants. I wanted you to tell about that little time period there and what your earliest memory is of when you started knowing that you had a bit of an interest in acting, even before you started acting in church.
The earliest memory that I've had was pretty much none at all. I was introduced into the acting by my mother, who happened to be one of the priests in charge of youth ministry. So they performed Christmas pageants and church plays and stuff in a church in Delaware. That was then when I was introduced to it. I played as one of the three wise men. And that's when I started getting into the feel for it. And then the more I did it, the next year for Christmas pageants, I got into it. Another play I got into was called Stations of the Cross, which involves those who go to church, study the Bible, the Lord Jesus carrying the cross on his back, being crucified and all that. I don't want to get into any description on that, depending on who's religious or not that's watching us today.
Yeah.
But it was pretty much, the more I did, that's when I started getting into it, and that's when my life started heading in that direction. As far as with, was I sure that that's what I wanted to do as a dream? That I didn't discover until 2 years later.
Was your mom, now she got you interested, was she involved in acting as well at one time, or?
She was, but she was more of a screenplay writer.
Oh, okay.
She does have a degree in broadcast and film, and so she mainly writes screenplays, and she's been writing screenplays ever since she's gotten the degree, as far as I'm concerned and know. She's gotten a few screenplays that won contests and won first place and a runner-up. Recent one was last year, I believe. And thus far, she's writing another one. I'm not sure what that name is, but she's hoping to put that into a contest.
Right.
Mainly what her role is does screenplays. She does do a little bit of acting, where she does do a little bit of choreography in church plays.
Okay. All right. So that you kind of picked that up from her, it sounds like a little bit.
Yeah,
So,
pretty much. I learned from the best.
yeah. Now, do you have an interest in writing screenplays at all?
I do, but as far as me writing it personally, no. As far as me sharing my ideas with someone, yes. I just am. I will admit I'm horrible when it comes to English writing.
Okay. Okay. Well, when you started acting in church, what was your parents' reaction to this passion? I mean, it sounds like your mom was all for it, but when you start, I guess my question is, did they really pick up on quickly that you not only had a passion for it, but had some talent?
They didn't pick up on it, nor did they know there was a passion of mine that I wanted to do it. Just because I didn't share the idea. Just at that particular time period, it was one of those situations where I still was trying to get a feel for the family and me expressing that I want to be an actor, blah blah. It just I was keeping my guard up just so I don't want to get the reaction that I was afraid of getting, such as, "Oh, that's nonsense. Go to college, get a degree." Even to this day, I know many kids have gone to colleges and gotten degrees for films and acting, and they're still not getting anywhere. So,
Right, right. What did you have a mentor? Because this was a question that I wanted to ask you about. Like, what was your earliest, even if it's just an actor, someone in the industry that you admired when you were really young and getting started, and then is there someone today that you sort of admire? Because I know a lot of actors when I've seen them interviewed, they have certain Will Smith, for instance. He really watched Clark Gable, I believe, for really studied him a lot. So I wondered if there was any, one that you admired when you were really young and got started, and someone now that you follow.
when I was really young, I was watching Will Smith on Prince of Bel-Air. I admire his ability to be very funny and then be serious at times. So I watched him majority of the time when I was young, growing up. Another person would be Jackie Chan. Him and his mixed martial arts. That was back when I was really young. Today, I now watch all different types of actors, such as Tom Cruise, for instance, with his tenacious efforts with stunts and doing his own stunts that are kind of daredevilish. But that's all about courage and trying to get all the types of actions that you would think in such movies such as Mission Impossible, which, I mean, in that type of setting where you're an agent and you have to accomplish a mission which is very highly dangerous, you would have to perform in such extreme conditions. And I admire him on doing those stunts, which is considered extreme conditions.
Yeah.
I also admire actresses such as Jennifer Lawrence. Like, I never heard of her until she did the Hunger Games, and her performance with the first Hunger Games was very phenomenal. Ever since then, I've been following her footsteps, and she's done very, very well, and I applaud her on that and continue to give her full support on that. So that's one of the people I keep an eye on. Bradley Cooper would be another one. He's done a phenomenal job. And then, I mean, there's so many different types of actors I keep an eye on. At this point, I can't even name off the top of my head.
Well, what was it that you did like about Bradley Cooper?
What I liked about him was that he was very, like, the one time I worked with him on a film set, which was on American Hustle. He's very professional about it. He'll say hi to one of the people that are like one of the background people, but when it came to directions, he was very good at it, and he was very on point on it. I met the director of American Hustle, and he's one of those serious type directors, David O. Russell. He's all about perfection, and that's one thing I see with Bradley Cooper. He's also about perfecting the performance, so if something doesn't go right, he'll want to do it again and make sure he gets okay from the director himself.
Well, that's awesome. You know, I knew you had worked. I forgot to mention American Hustle. I knew you had worked with him on that as well. So it sounds like you've got some good people that you have found to follow and learn and learn from, which is really important. Because even if we never mentor with someone personally, like meet them or get to spend time with them, we can learn a lot just by observing them. And so it sounds like you're on the right track with that. And so that's, in fact, I saw on Facebook, Van, last night before I went to bed, that Kevin Spacey is having some kind of workshop for actors. And he was running an ad on Facebook about it, and there's a little video, so you should go check out his site. I don't know the details about it, but it sounded pretty good. So
Kevin Spacey is very good also. He's very known for the House of Cards, in which I was invited to one time to just be a stand-in for one of the main characters, in which I had to respectfully decline.
Yeah. Well, he's having that workshop, but I just saw that late last night. But I wanted to ask you, you know, as you did more and more in church with the in the plays and things, did you realize at some point you were getting a little bit serious, or was it still just something fun for you and you didn't think that much of it? Or
The more I did it, the more I got very serious with it. Such as I was competing for more of a bigger roles instead of the background roles and stuff.
yeah.
Such as with the Christmas pageants, I've gotten the role of playing as Jesus's father, not once, not twice, but a few times. And then, as far as playing the Stations of Cross, I've gotten the role of playing Jesus a few times. Now, granted, Karen, that we actually did have a wooden cross. I will admit it was heavy. But actually, I got very into it though, because it made me feel like this is what Jesus was suffering, which was carrying a heavy wooden cross on his back and getting pebbles flown at him. So I really enjoyed doing that, and to this day I miss it. If I ever had a chance to, I would go back and do it.
Yeah. Well, that would be a good experience to actually do something like that, like you said, and know exactly what Jesus experienced during that time, because you know, I haven't really ever thought of it that way, but that exactly, you would have a good indication of, you know, what he was going through then. And I know that when you were doing all these plays too, you started private flute lessons at 13 at I believe the Wilmington Music School, and you continued to play it through middle and high school. Do you think you were at that time, were you starting to lean a little more toward the music?
It was hard to tell at that point, because yeah, I don't get me wrong, I enjoy playing the flute. So few male flutists around. But as far as like going into music wise, yeah, I may have the talent for it, but as far as making my own music with it, that was a skill set I didn't possess. So I would say no on that one. But I mean, it gave me more of a better idea on how to do math and helped me in school.
Yeah.
But as far as the flute
Do
goes,
you have videos of you playing the flute?
sadly no. Granted, there were many times when I've done concerts for high school and middle school at middle schools, and then there was a pit orchestra I did alongside with my mom, who also plays the bass. But no, there's no videos of me playing the flute.
Yeah, well, I know there was one really beautiful photograph of you. It seems like you're in a striped or purpley striped, or there's something purple in the picture, or I don't know.
That was a rough polo shirt.
Yeah, that is a pretty photograph of you playing the flute, and I'm going to have that in the blog article that I have about you with the replay of this. But you know, I think I told you when we met on Skype that I play the flute, and I don't have one right now, and that's on my list of things to get another flute and start playing again. So I understand that passion. I love the flute, and you're right. There are not as many male, you know, people playing the flute. You know, so I was really impressed that you played the flute. So I'd love to hear you play sometime. But while you were attending Cecil College, I believe at 19, and you were still playing the flute and acting, but what I got out of your bio was that it was that time period that there was some kind of pivotal point here where you started questioning the direction you were headed for, because you said your major wasn't focused. I want on acting, and I want you to talk about this time period, kind of what was going on and what that pivotal point was, what happened that guided you into getting into the right direction towards your true passion.
Well, I mean, with that time period between 2007 and 2009, that was definitely a pivotal point in which it was in direction I was not sure of going with, such as majoring nursing. Yes, I do enjoy helping people. I mean, I've lifeguarded for 6 years total and retired from it, and I love saving people, love protecting people, but it was just not what I wanted to do in life. I went to college just because, I mean, my parents wanted me to go to college, so I did that. Nursing in general is a competitive field, especially in trying to get into hospitals. So if you don't get the good grades, your chances of getting in is very slim. And me going for nursing was just not at all doing it for me. Yes, I was getting good grades, decent grades, averaging a B minus on GPA, but that was not going to get me into nursing. I was going through a struggling relationship at that time, in which landed me across the U.S., and then I got bailed out by my parents. It was, let's just put it this way, I went through so many different types of obstacles until I discovered what I wanted to do. And that wasn't until 2011 when I moved into Massachusetts.
Yeah. Now, what made you to decide on nursing? What was, was that, I mean, how did you obviously wanted to do that at some point to go in that direction at all, but how did you pick that is what you would do in college when you went to college?
I remember in ninth grade, before getting into high school, I worked as a volunteer for Union Hospital in Northeast Maryland. I worked in an adult daycare center pretty much every day as far as I can remember, and along with that I worked in the radiology department, and my job for that particular department was transporting patients, delivering iodine for patients, prepping them for to get their CAT scans done and their MRIs done, and then transporting them back So it's pretty much up and down. I did have security clearance to go in and out through the doors that were only um, open to employees that had security passes. And that's pretty much why I went to nursing.
Okay. All right. Well, you made a big decision. I know that in 2011, you know, I wanted you to kind of talk about that because you moved to Massachusetts at that time to pursue your dream. And I wanted you to talk about that because that was really impressive. You landed your first gig within 24 hours. So talk about that, how you made that happen, what was going on, and then I know you got a second gig right away after that. So sure.
That one was actually quite funny too. That particular day and month was on May 2011 was when I moved up into Massachusetts. I was getting settled in. It wasn't then my mother introduced me to this casting company who does actual casting and does the auditions called Boston Casting. And she said they were looking for Asian males between ages 18 and up for this upcoming movie starring Kevin James and Here Comes the Boom. And she suggested I submit for it. Now, granted, I did not have any photos, did not have an account with them. So with that, I just used one of my selfie pictures and submitted it. That was on the same day that both my mom and I went to go help me find a job. And while I was interviewing for a job, my mom got a call from them. And at the same time she was on the phone, I just finished with my job interview. And I came downstairs and she's like, oh wait, he's actually coming down. And then that's when she's like, it's Boston Casting. And I was like, you're kidding me, right? So I basically took the phone call and they asked me, are you available? And I was like, yes. So and that particular day was a good day because I landed not only one job but two jobs. One for the job I was interviewing for and a film gig as a background. And then about 2 months, either 2 months or a month later, I landed the role of RIPD. And then was working on that for 4 days.
Now that had to be a lot of fun because, you know, I just think Jeff Bridges is a great actor. He really is.
I love his accent though. It's got that Western Southern accent to his voice.
Yeah, yeah. So I think you know, I wanted you to actually go into that a little bit because, you know, you've really worked with some big stars. So I wanted you to kind of talk a little bit about those experiences. But I'm just so impressed that you were able to, and that's impressive that you just sent a selfie picture and got that job. So, I mean, I'm always stressing to people all the time. I know on Facebook and inspirational posts how, you know, you got to take advantage of all the technology today and the internet and social media because it's really been a game changer. And you got that with you didn't even have a photograph, you just sent a selfie. I mean, you know, we couldn't do that years ago. That's really cool. But man, you've been in a lot of, back to the movies, you've been in a lot of films and you've got some really great, you know, films that you've been in, featured in, or whatever type of role it was, but you've gotten to be around some phenomenal actors, you know, such as Unfinished Business and RIPD and with Jeff, and that's got Ryan Reynolds in it as well, and Kevin Bacon. Also Sex Tape with Cameron Diaz and Joy. That one's amazing because that's going to be released, you know, in 2016. So I want you to just talk about some of those different experiences because, you know, the people will be able to watch the replay of this, and there's probably a lot of people out there that would like to do what you're doing. And I have worked on movies before, I think I told you, but as a hair and makeup artist. So you're working on it from a totally different angle. And I think it's important for the viewers to that have that interest to sort of know what you the different role. What it doesn't matter if the role is major, you still get you learn something from it. So talk about that a little bit.
All right. So when working on these different types of major film sets, especially as a background role, there are times when you get to work closely with the main actors, or at least get to stand close to them, or you get to watch what they do. One of the things I've learned, just stand there and watch how they perform, is that they take their craft very seriously. And as an actor, that's one of the things you have to do. You can't just lollygag it at all. Instead, you got to take it very serious. Now, as a character, whatever character you're in, such as a background, supporting role, lead role, you have to take your character very seriously. You have to review your character role. And that was one of the main things that I've admired with all these different types of big actors that work closely aside, such as with Ryan Reynolds and Jeff Bridges, R.I.P.D. They took that craft very seriously. With their, I'm not sure if anyone have seen it, such as a scene where they're pointing both their guns up into like the buildings and stuff. That was the scene I was in, and I watched them do that. Take one, twice, three times. Three times they was charmed, they were good, and they moved on to the next scene. With the most recent one, which is Unfinished Business, with Vince Vaughn, Dave Franco, and Tom Wilkinson. Both those guys are funny. All of them are funny. I've actually had the pleasure of standing very closely with all of them. I've had the pleasure of talking with Vince Vaughn, especially for a good 2 minutes while they're trying to set up the films instead. And we went into a lengthy conversation about acting and stuff, and he added a little bit of good humor to it, and he's very funny. And he was something that I would admire the most, that he takes his acting very seriously. Dave Franco is another one, very funny fella. The scene where they're doing the shots and slap scene, it was quite funny because literally slap each other. And he's like, oh, really? Okay. I was like, okay, so this is going to be real. Okay, shot, slap. And I laughed at the fact that he just went with it. And it's like, okay, whack. And I mean, you have to be very creative with your character and with these scenes that you're doing. And that's one of the things that I admire with all these actors, that they were very creative with it. And it all depends on if the director likes it, and he's like, oh, wow, that works. Yeah, let's do that again. And so as far as with background roles goes, depending on what you're being directed to do, such as being on phone, look like you're talking with someone, it does look like you're doing that as an everyday life. I mean, we talk with people 24/7, so that's one thing I can tell you, just do it. Or if you may not even know, you're acting already. Whether you're on a film set or just in the streets, you're already acting.
Yeah. Well, it sounds like you're doing a lot of observation, and you're also taking advantage of brief moments where you are close to the actors, where you can ask them questions or talk to them about something. And that's very admirable. That takes a lot of courage, because I know a lot of people are, would find it hard to approach them. And the fact that you are doing that means you take what you're doing seriously, and you really want to learn as much as you can. And that's what you have to do. You got to seize that moment, and you're doing that. And so I think that's very impressive about you, Van. And you should, you should be proud of yourself for doing that, because it takes a lot of courage. Now, what was there anything that you like in Sex Tape or Joy? Was there anything that you took away from that? Did you get to talk to anybody in that you felt like you gained some new insight?
With Sex Tape with Cameron Diaz and Steven Seagal, I think that's how you pronounce his name. I actually had the pleasure of shaking hands with Steven. And then Cameron Diaz, I've had the pleasure of saying hi to her real quick after we wrapped up with the film scene. One thing I did take out on that one was his ability to ask as much questions as possible about the scene that he was asked to perform to the director. And that's one of the things that I've learned, which is don't be afraid to ask if you're unsure of how to perform the scene. Because you don't want to perform a scene and it comes out all wrong. You want to perform a scene so it comes out right and perfect the first time, and do it again the second time, and then hopefully not even do it again the third time. And that's one of the things that I liked about that was that he asked questions on how to do the scenes.
So he would ask the director, and
yeah, pretty much.
Yeah. So that's good.
As an actor in general, if you're unsure how to do a scene of any type, you should always ask the question, because your vision may be completely different from what the director has envisioned. And you want to be on the same level with your director. So it's always best to ask questions.
Right. Well, that's good. That really is good. I know, I was trying to remember the name of that movie with Glenn Close and Michael Douglas many, many years ago. It was a big hit back when it came out. Oh, I've drawn a blank. And anyway, he ends up having an affair with her. And oh gosh, do you know what movie I'm talking about? It was a super great, intense thriller.
It sounds like it was like was it a 1990s movie?
Yeah, I think so. You know, and it was a big deal because they had an affair. And what was the name of that movie? I cannot believe I've drawn a blank. But I saw an interview with her, and there's a scene where she has to get really, really, really emotional because he's wanting to break up with her because his wife has found out about it or whatever. And of course she stalks him. I know the name of that movie is just hanging on the tip of my tongue, and I cannot think it. And I know you know what it is, but I saw an interview and I saw a clip where the director's talking to her, and it was really nice how he communicated with her because it was an intense scene, and she really did need his guidance, and he was guiding her as to you know, helping her with getting the right emotion in that scene. And I think when she was carrying on with Michael Douglas, was holding a knife, and it was sort of, she was digging it into her leg, not even realizing it. So it's really an intense scene. But so I know what you mean when you're talking about the director. I don't think people realize how much the director does have to communicate with each actor on how to, you know, actually how to carry out a particular scene. And you're right, the fact that, you know, you have to be willing to ask those questions. So I know before this is over, I'm going to think of the name of that movie, but but I just had to bring that up because she's such a great actor. And I remember watching that interview, and they were showing that actual show in a clip of the director talking to her. And so that was it really was intense. And it was interesting to see because it's not something people, you know, people go to a movie and they just see the finished version, and they don't realize what is involved. So, yeah. But you said you like Jennifer Lawrence. What is it about her? Because I know you worked with her. in the joy. What do you think it is about her that you admire?
Well, it's quite funny. I've researched her more and see how she began her acting, and it's quite funny because we both follow the same path. She began her acting in like church plays and Christmas pageants, like I did. But unlike my parents, her parents saw that as her passion. She told her parents, and they moved to, I believe it was New York, and had her going to this school for acting and stuff. And that's when she started exploding right there. I admire her performance and that she's very persistent about it. So with her, like where she goes from being no one to being somebody, you can always be somebody regardless if you think you're not a nobody. Whereas to me right now, I mean, I got my foot in the door, and that's what matters to me the most. Now time for me to shine, and hey, what's up? I wait patiently for that. I do know I do have the skills and talent set for whatever people need. With Jennifer Lawrence especially, she can do many roles. You can have her play the Hunger Games role. You can have her play it as the psychopathic wife, such as on American Hustle.
Yeah.
And then with Joy, that particular role, forget how that went with her. But I mean, she played that particular role as very well, actually.
Yeah.
I can't wait to see it.
Yeah, that's gonna be, and I recently saw her on Netflix. She was in an episode of The Medium, a show called Medium. With Patricia Arquette. It was a series they had on every week, and Patricia Arquette she's a psychic, and she works for the DA and helps them solve cases. And Jennifer Lawrence I never realized that was her in one of the episodes. She just had a small part. She was really young, and she hadn't been discovered yet, but it's like you say, that's your starting point, and then just like overnight she exploded. So it can happen, and she's proof of it. And you've got your foot in the door, so that's everybody's got to get their foot in the door. That's how it begins.
Yeah.
But I know. Was there anything else, because we already talked about RIPD a little bit, but with Jeff Bridges, was there anything else you took away from just working around him as well? Because he's another amazing, he's played so many different type roles that I just think he's a great actor.
I think a lot out of him is just he can be a funny person.
Yeah.
He can be very funny, he can be serious. I caught him in a funny moment when he was coming out of the bathroom at one point. And that's the only time I ever took out of him was him being funny.
Yeah, but that's good. Humor's good. Because working on movies there's very stressful moments at times where there's can be a lot of tension, just like any other vacation, anything else, anything anybody does, any job you have, whatever. There's going to be some critical moments where things are not pleasant. And so, just seeing that he can keep his sense of humor is pretty powerful. Everybody needs to do that. But I wanted you to also share a little bit about your experience, Van, because we were in the Facebook chat the other night, and you were telling me about this really great experience you had on this high-end independent film. You had the opportunity to work on with John Savage called Sensory Perception, which is actually a sci-fi thriller. I have not seen that. And I could just tell you were kind of excited about that in the chat. So I wanted to see if there was anything you could share about that experience.
Well, with that experience, it was quite a funny experience. I was brought on by the executive producer, David Gare, very good and close friend of mine. I still talk to him to this day. I actually just recently sent him a chat because it's been a while since we communicated. But my role in that one was just playing as a GQ businessman who was on a business conference, meeting up with someone, And the scene involved me getting a lap dance, uh, which I never had a lap dance in my life. And I told people many times I would never step foot into a strip club to get a lap dance in my entire life, which I still have yet, knock on wood, have done so. And that this was going to be the closest you ever go see me getting a lap dance on a film set. So
I thought that's what that picture looked like you were that was going on.
that was just me getting a lap dance. It was a fun experience, very funny. Everyone was having a funny time with that scene, so including myself. Um, and it was just a very good scene. I enjoyed it. A lot of people did. That particular scene just was involved with parties, drinking. There wasn't real actual drinks, just water and cranberry juice. Uh, but it was a very good experience working close side with the executive producer, and then I've got the pleasure of meeting with the director himself too.
Yeah.
That scene I didn't see John Savage, however.
You did not?
No, I didn't get to see him. I guess he was in the next scene that they were doing. This scene was just kind of a more of a clip-on scene, I believe.
Uh-huh.
So, but that particular scene, I'll never forget. The lap dance.
Well, that now you can say you've had one, but in a different sort of way. So
Yeah.
But you've worked on also TV shows and TV movies, and we were talking a little bit about that in Facebook, and there was a couple of them that I'm really not real familiar with, the Folklorist and the Cold Read. And I could pick up on your energy that you were excited about that. What can you share anything about those?
With the folklorists, what they do is they do documentaries and they make a little bit TV series about the histories of like the World War II series, such as someone being captured as POW. My particular role was playing as a Japanese soldier who happened to find these two U.S. soldiers who were the only ones left after their current position was overtaken by Japanese troops. And my role in that was just to roughhouse on the POWs. And that was a great experience. Now with the Code Read, that was 10-episode series. And my role was playing as a assistant director for a student film that was going on. It was actually filming. I was actually on set being as an actor. And that was a fun experience because there were so many different scenes where I was just being funny, and they're being very creative with it. And this particular scene, it's on YouTube. You can find it. I think it's episode 9, which the student film is the name. Where I looked like I was panting, and director's like, "What the heck am I doing?" And I immediately got up and flew the script up in the air and it hit my head. And they actually caught that and they actually kept it, so it's actually on there.
Okay.
It worked out very perfectly because it was very funny, and that particular episode got a lot of hits on it, a lot of views on it.
Oh, that's great. So you think I'll have to look for that on YouTube.
So that particular director and writer recently moved to California. His name is Brian Farmer. He's doing a phenomenal job out there. He just moved out there and is currently making a film called Cold Harbor, and I happen to be one of his actor just as a voiceover actor.
Now, what's it called? Because you got a little garbly.
It's called The Cold Harbor.
The Cold Harbor.
Yep. And I actually got a role from them as a voiceover actor. So they said just what that is for many people that don't know. Voiceover actor is someone that just creates MP4 audio file saying these particular lines, and then send that off, and they add that into the film.
Okay.
So you're not physically there, but your voice is there.
Your voice is there. Okay. Like if it's a voice, like if someone's having a phone conversation and you don't see the other end of the conversation, or do they use your voice, or?
Yep, pretty much.
Okay. All right. Well, you've had, I know roles and various different types of roles. And so this is a good time, since you brought that up, I wanted you just to explain a little bit to the viewers some of the differences between the terms, like you did with voiceover, like supporting actor or featured. As there was another one too that I saw, and I meant to write it down and I forgot. Rumored was another one. So just kind of tell a little bit about that, what that means, because people see these things on IMB and, you know, they probably don't know what it means.
So those terms, such as rumored, that just basically means this particular actor or actress is in negotiation with the film and its director being a part of it. There's different types of terms when it comes to feature, because you can either be featured or be a featured background, which means basically a lot of camera time with no lines. Being featured, you have a little small cameo role with a few lines, couple lines, and then that's it. When it comes to supporting roles, you have a lot more lines. You're basically supporting the lead role, the person who's the main character, and you're basically delivering those lines. When it comes to the lead or slash principal role, that means you are the main character. You are the center of attention. And basically you are being watched, and as in watching, it's like your performance matters, so you better do a damn good job.
Yeah, because I did Google it and I was watching a little bit about, and I know one woman was saying actually sometimes it's better to be the supporting, because it's a little bit more laid back than the lead.
I would agree with her 100%, because when I've got the supporting role and run my films, it was much more easier for me. Would I ever take up the lead role? There depends on the lines. If the lines are not long in certain scenes where it's a few words, blah blah, back and forth, great, yeah, I'll possibly take it. But I mean, being a supporting role, you'll still get a same amount of attention as the lead role. You're still gonna get watched more too, or actually equal as the lead role. So supporting lead role, they'll get equal viewers and equal people watching them.
Yeah, same amount of screen time, right? Yep. Yeah. Okay. All right. Now you have some really special skills, and I wanted you to sort of, because I was really impressed. I know you, because I believe some of these have come in handy with you getting cast on different roles. And I was especially impressed with your combat training and the M4 carbine rifle. How did you get into that?
Now with that one, that was the many obstacles I had to go through. As I discussed earlier, I did go into service for a short time. I did not like it, but one of the things I took out from it was combat training, hand-to-hand combat, getting to know the M4A1 carbine rifle, which weighs about 6.17 pounds. Very accurate though, I'll give you that. And that's how I come to learn about that. Now, as far as the casting with those types of skill sets, I haven't gotten many casting calls for that, but I've recently, from Boss Casting, they were looking for people with experience with that particular weapon. And for a movie that was filming down in Rhode Island, can't tell you the name of that particular movie, but they're looking for people with gun experience to be as one of the snipers. I was just like, oh, dang.
Okay. Well, I'm not going to keep you much longer, but I did want you to go over a little bit about the casting company that you work with, because I know it's the largest casting company in New England. And I know that I read you're well known, or more in the New England area. And so I wanted you to explain a little bit about how this company has helped you and how it can help others, how that works to be a part of that company.
Boston Casting is indeed one of the largest casting companies. They've casted over a lot of films, is the best way I can put it. And they've helped me out by just giving me different roles. They call me in for auditions. Actually, my one audition I've actually made to the second round of the audition. That was when I was still new to the acting. So me making it to the second round, which made me very proud. I was like, okay, well, I got this now. And I've attended a couple of their classes as like just to fresh me up, get new knowledge of stuff that's changing in the film industry. The one thing they've admired about me is I'm always on time and or early. Hence why they've really, really liked that. And as an actor, I would tell those that want to get into acting, be on time. That's their biggest friend, is being on time and being early, because that can win you brownie points, like a lot of brownie points. That's, with me, being on time is very, very strict. So if I'm late, I will be pissed, and me being mad and pissed is not good. Look pretty. But when it comes to Boston Casting, they've gotten me a lot of gigs. They've called me a lot of times. There are times when I've called them to just check on to see if they're still casting for these particular roles and how they could help with other people. You can always go in and talk with them. You can also create a profile with them online at bostoncasting.com, and you just go into talent registration and create a talent account, and you can go from there. And that's only if you really want to get into acting. That's how I started, was just doing with them and get into background roles. And one of the biggest things also, because you can network with the people that you're working with in the background area. Those are already in the film industry, that are doing films, and are just there to just get a feel for what's going on, in order just getting more ideas for the film projects. You can network with any of those people. And that's one of the main reasons why I sometimes do it, is just to network. Networking, acting, talking with people, communicating is one of the biggest things if you want to get fluent in this film business, is just network.
Oh yeah, and you get they also help you. They train you a little bit, right? You said you get a little bit of training there.
Yep, I get a little bit of training. The people that come in, they actually bring in from, like, say, Los Angeles, to come and train people. One particular person, I forget her name, she was one of the casting directors out in Los Angeles, and she trained us on, like, the acting and doing the auditions and how to slate and stuff. And she's very phenomenal, and I have her email. I haven't recently emailed it yet, but always can keep in contact with her, always can communicate with her if I have questions on certain things.
Yeah. Well, do you, now that you've done film and theater, do you think you like the film better, or?
I love the film, because you're on camera and you get to have fun with it.
Yeah.
Whereas the theater, you have one direct role, and it has to be very precise and perfect, which is pretty much like film. But I mean, when it comes to theater, you're not being filmed at all.
Right. Well, some actors have actually said You know, they like theater because they like that live performance. They like the immediate response from the audience that you get from doing a live performance. But I could see where I can see I can understand that, but I can also understand wanting to be on the big screen, you know.
Yeah.
So I see both sides of it from an actor's point of view. But how do you feel today about the direction you're headed with acting, and because it sounds like you can sing too. Do you have plans to delve into that more, or pretty much stick to that?
I do have plans to dive into more. At this time, I'm kind of on a pause, trying to make money, save money. I am planning on to move to Los Angeles so I can move my acting career to the next level, and stuff. And or New York. I really am battling between New York and California at this point. I've gone to California last year and visited it. Fell very much in love with it. Driving around in a rental car, flew to parts of Los Angeles or California and stuff, you just see different signs for different films, such as signs for go to base camp, go this way, or go to holding this way. After I kept again saying how many different signs I've driven that was for different films. I think I've driven by at least 20 of them. And I was just
That
like,
was
wow.
in New York? Did you say that was in
This was in Los Angeles.
Los Angeles? Okay, I was gonna say.
And I was just very astonished and shocked. Just like, wow, this is where it's all happened. This is where I need to be.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I do have a few friends out there, so I can always bunk with them or room with them. In which they're all waiting for me out there.
Yeah.
I just need to get myself out there, which is taking a while just because of money. It's always the money issue with most of us. Those are upcoming actors, upcoming models. Regardless, we all gotta start somewhere.
Oh yeah. Well, what would you say before we wrap it up? I wanted to see what you would say, maybe what advice, or what would you say to someone who wants to get started in acting? Is there something special, the message that you would, or advice that you would give to them?
My advice, I mean, if they want to get into acting, I would highly recommend looking to your local casting areas who are maybe casting for films. Background roles is the best way to start out at. Just see if you like it. I will tell viewers that if you really want to get into acting, I will give you a heads up. Majority of acting is going to be a lot of waiting time, a lot of standing around, especially for background roles. You're going to be sitting there for a good max 2 to 4 hours until you're actually brought onto set because they're still trying to set up the scene. And you're going to be starting to fall asleep. Don't fall asleep because you most likely won't get up. You'll have to be asked to be on set at an earliest time, such as 4 o'clock in the morning, 5 o'clock in the morning. And if you really want to be an actor and you really think you can do that, and be my guest, check into your local casting, and create a profile with them and submit yourself for different casting calls.
Great. I think that's good advice, man. I do. And I really, really, really want to thank you again today for being here. And, I know you took time off of work to be here today. And it's actually been fun having you and just hearing about your experiences and what you've learned, because I think it's going to be helpful when people, get to see this, the replay, if they didn't see it live. Is there anything else you wanted to add?
Nope, but I'm just going to say this, be on time. If you want to be an actor, be on time.
Yeah, that sounds like that's a pretty important thing.
Lateness is not an option when it comes to the film business, unless you're one of those big actors and you're stuck somewhere. Great, but if you're an upcoming actor or want to be an actor, be on time, and then you'll start from there.
Wow, that's good advice, and that's really good in anything we do. But yeah, I think definitely they like the actors to be there when they're supposed to be there. So don't hang up yet, Van. I just want to thank the viewers again for their continued support. And I really know, Van, that you're going to continue to seek out new opportunities, and you're truly an inspiration. You've had some really great experiences, and I know the doors are just going to keep opening for you. And so there'll be a replay of this in my blog at tamarahscloset.com. And I want the viewers to know how to get in touch with you. They can also go to actorvanbrockmann.com, and that's got 2 N's on Brockmann. And so you can go there. Also, I'll have Van's links in my blog article where I put the replay as well. And then later on, I'll have an article and promote that as well. But that'll be later on down the road. But right up front, I'll go ahead and have your links in there, Van, so people know how to get in touch with you should they land on the interview and see it either on YouTube or in my blog. They'll know how to find you. So I'll make sure Van stays in touch so that, and keep me informed of all your updates and anything new and exciting that you're going to be doing.
I will.
Yeah. So I want the viewers to stay tuned to Tamarah's Closet, because I'm lining up some really fabulous guests for the new year, talented people from all over the world. So make sure you stay tuned to my social media sites, Tamarah's Closet. Follow my blog, tamarahscloset.com. You can see other live interviews I've had with all kinds of talent from all over the world. And have a great weekend. And to your own continued success, keep rocking it. Take care and have a great weekend. Thanks. Bye.